Hello there and welcome back to Ragged Banner Videos. Today we'll be looking at the other half of Norman society. That's right, we're going to be looking at women's fashion at all levels of the social strata, joined once again by the wonderful and lovely Catherine Jones.
Here we have a woman in her underclothing. We have a linen underdress. Now this would cover, as you can see, from neck to floor. She also has on some woolen stockings, which aren't as tightly fitting as a man's hosen, but would keep her warm. Next, we have a dress. Now this would either be wool, if you were in the lower classes, or possibly linen, if you were a little bit richer and could afford it. And finally, you'll see that we have a head garment. This is called a wimple. There is an apocryphal belief in society in the 12th century that the Holy Spirit came down in the form of a dove and whispers in Mary's ear, and then she became pregnant with Jesus Christ. Now, we're pretty sure they knew how babies were made, but just in case, we have the headgear to just prevent that. Here we have a levy woman, one of the poorer in society. You'll see that her underdress is made of a natural linen, so that's undyed and unbleached.
And her woolen dress is of a light colour. This would often be natural from a sheep.
So brown wools would come from sheep, or a light dye such as woad or madder. She also has a natural wimple and a belt which many would have an eating knife on. Next, we're moving up into the middle classes. Here we have a lady who has options with her clothing. She has a bright yellow woolen dress which has bell sleeves on which simply say, "Look, I can afford this extra bit of fabric." And she also has a linen dress to wear when it gets a little bit warmer, showing that she has the extra money and the wealth to spend on these, as well as the bright dyes which she has for her clothing. You can also tell that this lady here is a musician, as she has her instrument on her belt, and the bright colours she's wearing would be what would be expected of musicians in the 12th century. Next, we're moving into our feudal retainers and lower nobility. You'll see the lady here is wearing a beautifully richly red dyed dress. Now the beetles for this dye would have to be imported from the Middle East. This is such a rich colour and people will have died for this fabric. You'll also see these fantastic court sleeves that she's wearing, as well as some side lacing on the side of her dress. Now, to get into this dress, she would most certainly need a servant to help her get into it and to tie her in as tight as she possibly could be. Because Norman women, yes, they were covered from head to toe, but their clothing would be as tight as you could possibly get it to show off those curves. She also is wearing a slightly different type of head garment. This is called a fillet and veil, and it was a bit more fashionable at the time to wear the fillet and veil because although it still covered the ears, it presented the neck open to view, and you can also see her beautiful plaits, which are very long and very effeminate and desirous at the time. Finally, we move up to our high levels of nobility. The lady here is wearing a beautiful, rich purple dress. To get this purple, you would have to use dye from Mediterranean seashells that again would have to be imported into the country. You'll also see that she has fantastically long court sleeves that have blue banding, embroidery and stonework would be used to decorate her clothing. She's also wearing, as her wimple, silk. Now this would have to be imported down the Silk Road and was incredibly expensive in the 12th century. Finally, we have a set of keys on her belt. Now keys were a woman's sign of status and rank. They show off that she has the key to the household, the key to the money, and that she is in charge. Now we have another type of women's head covering seen in the 12th century, the barbette. The barbette was a linen coif with a linen banding around the top. Now this was absolutely scandalous in the 12th century because yes, it covered a woman's ears, but you could see her hair completely coming from the back of the barbette, and it came in because Eleanor of Aquitaine made it fashionable. But when women started to wear it in the court, the Pope was absolutely scandalised by this and he banned it. But 50 years later, Eleanor of Aquitaine was buried, and on the effigy of her tomb you can see her wearing in a church a barbette. So it just shows what a fashion statement she made at the time.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget you can always pay us a tithe in the form of your like and subscribe, as well as checking out our Facebook page and our website for articles, updates and other news.